Welcome, strategy battle gamers, to a much overdue and much needed P&P. So it's been a while. It's been a few weeks, 3, maybe 4. Christmas, I believe, or New Year's, or somewhere around there was when I was last posted up a video and a little chat, and just sort of been I don't know, regenerating, I guess would be the best way to put it. You know, all the adventures and busyness of the holiday season, you know, there just wasn't much drive or time for me to do P&P and more specifically do an awful lot of hobbying. So it's good to be back. It's good to be back in front of the camera talking to you guys, and let's get the formalities out of the way. So to welcome P&P back into the new year, we're going to go with the old favorite, and we're going to do a King Can today. King Can, or Tall Boy. There's some argument over what that's called, but we're going to be drinking a Tall Boy because we got quite a bit to cover. There's a lot going on, a lot of exciting things within the hobby. So cheers. Here's the Rolling Rock. Still waiting on those guys to get a hold of us for a sponsorship, but cheers. Hope you guys are enjoying a pint or hobbying or a tea or whatever it is that takes your fancy. So let's get into it. First up is we're going to talk about War of the Ring. So for those of you who do not know, the OHA will be hosting a, I don't want to say a tournament, a competition, I guess would be the best way to put it. It will be based upon the War of the Ring, so it will be good versus evil, and it will be team-based. So basically what we're going to do is ask for you to submit your lists. We're going to try to keep the teams balanced numbers-wise, obviously, as far as good and evil. There will be no good versus good and evil versus evil at this event. It will be strictly good versus evil using the standard scenarios and victory point setup. Now, obviously, you know, we may have more people who want to play evil than we do good, so we're going to have some OHA ringers there to fill in where needed, but we're hoping that it's going to be fairly balanced. There are absolutely no restrictions to this event, so it is 750 points, no model limit, no ban on Tom Bombadil, Goldberry, Gollum, whatever is in the game, you can bring. This is the War of the Ring, so we wanted to make sure that we kept that flavor and didn't have any restrictions. The only restriction, I guess, would be the allies. Your allied contingent can only make up 50% of your army. And you're only allowed one ally, so you know you're not going to see that classic mix of you know, various lists, you know, in one. So we're hoping to keep it thematic. Obviously, that is the focus of the OHA, and we're really looking forward to this. This is going to be fun. There's going to be the typical prizing available, as well as a to be announced cash prize for the entire team. So we're hoping, obviously, that can go towards you know, whether it's being essentially reimbursed for your entry fee. Maybe all of the winning team wants to go out and buy around at the pub. There is a restaurant, there is a bar, it's a full service venue, hotel, it's all in the same area. It's going to be held in Stratford, Ontario at the Arden Park. It's going to be absolutely fantastic. It's a great event, great Hotlet itself, the convention that we're holding this in conjunction with, is an absolutely fantastic event. Go to it every year, usually as a game master running different types of games. This will be the second year in a row where my focus has been Lord of the Rings, so very much looking forward to that. That is March 16th, 17th, and 18th. I believe we actually are fortunate enough to have one Brit who is going to be over in this neck of the woods, who's going to join us for this event. I believe that's Dave, so looking forward to that. Looking forward to finally meeting you, bud. Chatted a little bit online, and hoping it's going to be a really good time. So that round one of that event is going to start at 9 p.m. on March 16th. Basically, we're going to be in the hall for about 7 o'clock. We're going to do some demos, try to recruit some new players, you know, drum up interest in SBG. So we're going to do, as the OHA, we're going to do a couple hours of sort of introduction gaming, offer a sign-up sheet so people can come in and play. And then all through the weekend, the important thing to note is, you know, barring all of us having to participate as ringers, we are also going to be holding demo games the entire weekend where anybody can just walk up and start playing. We're going to have 2 armies there, table set up, ready to go, and hopefully introduce some new players to the game, and maybe shake some cobwebs off some old players. So really looking forward to that. We went away from having the specific demo table on its own, simply because we want to show people what it's all about. So we're going to be doing our best to try to get people to get involved in the event, in the War of the Ring. For any of the OHA players who are there, we're going to offer the opportunity for them to jump in on that game and use some of the models in that particular list in combat with whoever the competitor is. Of course, this is all going to be dependent on people's willingness. So it's a great bunch of guys. I'm sure they're going to be happy to have people involved and people, stepping in and having a look, seeing what's going on and seeing what it's all about. So really, really looking forward to this event. As always, OHA George is working on some absolute masterpieces for this event. There's some sneak peeks of them up on the Facebook group, so you'll see the Rohan buildings and the like. There's a couple other projects that I know he's working on that I'm not sure if I can say anything about, but of course, as always, they are going to be stunning. The guy only has one level of quality, and it's truly impressive and immersive when you get to play on those boards. So we're still working out logistics as far as how we're going to get everything there. Obviously, this is fairly different. We're going to have the opportunity to have up to 32 players, meaning we need 16 tables of terrain. At Scouring of the West Farthing this previous year, we had, I want to say, 10 or 12 tables. I believe it was 12 tables available, and those were entirely built and supplied by myself and George. So looking like we're going to be doing that same approach this year, so obviously upping the number to 16 for War of the Ring, dependent on admission, obviously. And that's something I definitely want to stress, is your lists for this event are due by February 23rd, and they are to be sent to the email address listed on the Facebook group, info OHA SBG info, or info OHA SBG at gmail.com, one or the other. You have to go take a look. It's on the event pack. You have to have your list submitted by the 23rd. If you do not have your list submitted by the 23rd, you will not be able to participate. We're not asking you to pay. You have the ability to pay at the door, should you like. You can send funds to George, again listed on the event pack in the comments. You can send the monies over to him, so it's $20 to get in, sort of early bird, $25 at the door. The reason that we have to stick to the the deadline of February 23rd to no attendance, as well as have your list, is obviously there's some planning involved with regards to keeping the teams balanced, and whatever tables we are not going to use, Hot Lead is going to be able to use in other games, vendors, etc. So we do not want to be using up tables that are not going to be in use. So if we only, let's say for example, if we only have 20 players, we only need 10 tables at 4x3. So there's an awful lot of table space there that Hot Lead, the convention that's been gracious enough to host us, can then use for other things. So February 23rd, very important. Have your list submitted to the OHA. Get it in so we can look over it, make sure everything's good, find the right balance. We've been blessed in the fact that a number of individuals have offered to wait until closer to, just to see where the numbers fall, and they're willing to bring whatever army is needed, basically, to even those numbers out. So that's absolutely fantastic. To those of you offering that, hats off to you. Absolutely thrilled. So as you can imagine, the logistics of this is quite the undertaking. The first major tournament event that we ran at Scouring, we were fortunate in that we were only 20 minutes away from my house, so we could use it as a staging area, have the terrain there, and make multiple trips with my truck. With Stratford is 2 hours and 10 minutes away from me, and about an hour away from George, so it makes the logistics a little more difficult. We got to get everything there in one shot. So obviously with some of the other members of the OHA chipping in, we're going to do our best to do that, but it also means that we need to work towards a more efficient and what's the word I want to use? Have tables that are able to be broken down and put into totes a little better. I don't want to say modular, just because the boards that George designs specifically for a certain area are stunning, and he does an excellent job of, like, even Rivendell, for example, does break down, all the structures come off, but you still have with a single sheet, with a 4x4 or 4x3 or whatever the case is, and especially when it has topographical elements to it, it makes transport, storage, all that stuff, loads of fun, obviously. So we're definitely still going to have those boards present at the game, or at the event, I'm sorry, but we're working towards getting things broken down a little better so that they're easier to transport, because obviously the end goal here is to make sure that wherever we have an event, we can bring the terrain and everything that we have in an easy way. My truck only has so much room. George currently has a car, so there's not a lot of space there. But looking forward to seeing how it all works out. I myself generally go to Stratford on the Friday afternoon. Leave in the morning, get there around noon. There's a pub in town I love to hit. It's an absolutely fantastic pub, and always a good time, so we usually hit that up, and then try to get an early check-in at the hotel for 2 o'clock. Get checked in, get myself squared away, and then we will be setting up. So doors for Hot Lead open at 7 on the Friday night. Now obviously our entry fee is $20 for our specific event, War of the Ring. In order to get into Hot Lead, you are going to have to pay a separate admission fee, which is generally normal for most conventions and most events held at conventions. So basically, the entire weekend pass is $20, I believe. So that's a steal of the deal. That gives you Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all days of which we will be holding some sort of SBG related event. You can opt to get buy day by day, so you can buy the $5 Friday night pass, and then Sunday I believe is $15 anyways, so you're going to be $20 regardless. So that brings the total amount, if you pay early, to $40 for the entire weekend. Not including your room, obviously, room, food, and whatever else you're going to have available. The rooms are very nice rooms. The hotel, the service is terrific. The restaurant's good. They keep you well hydrated. The bar is, always running. They have finger sandwiches, chips, snacks and stuff right in the hall itself. There's water all over the place. It's an absolutely excellent venue, and cannot wait to host an event in conjunction with it. So really looking forward to that. I hope that you guys will be joining us, as many of you as is possible. If you are, again, I will stress the importance. Please ensure that you've indicated that you are attending and have submitted your list by February 23rd, as that will be the official cutoff date, so that we have time for the prizing and the lists and all that fun stuff. So once again, lists due February 23rd. Don't forget it. That's all I have to say on War of the Ring. That's it. That was long. It was really long. It was like 14 minutes. Just one event. Crazy. I'm really looking for... I'm not even going to stop. I've said that's it, but then I'm not going to stop. I'm really looking forward to seeing, seeing if Smug makes an appearance. Tom, Goldberry, all the stuff that we don't generally see at events, and I know it's for a reason. But it's going to be nice to see what the guys come up with, given the fact that they now have free reign to use whatever, and more importantly, how they fit it and make it themed. I think that's going to be a real challenge, and interesting to see how they come up with it. Obviously, as is standard with the OHA, we are going to have best themed, obviously, and then our all-important hobby ambassador, and then best painted, I believe, is going to be there as well. But really looking forward to it. Can't wait to see how you guys get creative with it, and and hopefully see some new faces. I know we got a lot of guys from the London area that are going to be attending, which is absolutely fantastic. Sort of the the southwestern connection, I guess, for SBG, which is great. But really looking forward to seeing some old faces and some new faces. So it's going to be here before we know it. Can't wait. I know I've got my room booked. If you haven't, get your room booked and get yourself a spot at the hotel so that you're nice and close. It's absolutely fantastic. So moving on, we are going to have a visit, which is awesome, from Mr. Dan Entwistle, which is cool. It's great. I'm looking forward to it. Can't wait. I actually had the pleasure of doing a little Twitch broadcast hobby chat with Dan and Will, and forgive me, I forget the other fellow's name. And then there was another bloke that sort of joined in late. I think his name is Damien. He joined in, and he contributed pretty well to the conversation. But absolutely great bunch of guys. Had a great time chatting, sort of talking, the meta here in Canada and compared to overseas in Great Britain, and sort of the influx of what they deemed as sort of an indie SBG scene, which was quite interesting to have that discussion and to see where what they consider independent and indie. That conversation segued well for us. I think it really brought to light sort of the differences between the OHA and the OSBGL. And I think that sort of speaks to the shift in the hobby in general, and not only the shift in the hobby, but also the shift in the format the leagues are sort of approaching things with. This year we've seen a shift with particularly the OSBGL. They are now calling things hobby events instead of strictly just league tournament play. They're classifying things as hobby events, trying to shift focus away from, while still maintaining the competitive edge or competitive side, but really starting to build bridges to make the game more approachable, which I think is brilliant. That's 100% the right approach, and in all actuality was why the OHA essentially started, was that we saw sort of what I would call a niche market as far as content and style of events and the way we do things. Two very different systems, but also very complementing. So terrific to see those guys sort of shifting focus and making that shift. And it was interesting to hear the GBHL discuss that as well, or the guys from the GBHL saying that that's something that they are definitely seeing more of, especially with the format changes to the league and adopting sort of those changes in order to welcome the new players, which I think is great, especially given the influx that we've had with the success of the Middle Earth team at GW. I think it's absolutely terrific to see essentially every league making itself more approachable, which is absolutely brilliant, and is only going to lead to greater success for not only the league or association or clubs, but also the game in general. It's going to keep GW making toys because we can prove that it's viable, that it's something that going forward we can support and are willing to support. And that being said, it's bright future. You look at the success of battle companies, the amount of stuff that has sort of gone out of stock just because like a number of people have alluded to, maybe GW didn't anticipate the boon in sales related to the battle companies, and I, for one, personally, me looking at it, I wouldn't have either. I would have assumed that whoever was buying battle companies already had miniatures, already had stuff ready, set aside, or had some old stock kicking around that they would have been able to then reintroduce and start using for battle companies. But to see the influx in that product, as well as the sales related to seeing those miniatures that are sort of coming off the shelf rather quickly, it's very, very positive, very positive. So interested to see where they go with the stuff that goes out of stock, what changes are going to come, the speculation on the rule book and the changes to that. We did touch on that in the Twitch discussion, and that was a lot of fun, talking about things that we want to see fixed. If you're watching, Mr. Troke, get rid of Hurl as soon as possible, please. And Bayern was another one that I had sort of tabled as needing some sort of addressing with regards to his bear hug. But all in all, very impressed with the receptiveness to the community from the SPG team. And it's all looking like great stuff. So can't wait to see that. Find out when that's going to be released. Obviously, we had the new releases of the why can't I think of it? The Wraiths from The Hobbit. Absolutely fantastic looking models. Obviously, I did have some comments with regards to the first one that they displayed, who I thought Michael Campbell nailed it on the head. He made a joke about them looking like the Knights Who Say Knee from Monty Python's Holy Grail, which I think is completely accurate, especially that individual model for sure. But the rest of the sculpts do look fairly cool. I will say I would have liked to have maybe seen them a little more animated. I understand that they sort of took them from a scene, obviously when they're all lined up, and that's cool. And if this was sort of back in the glory days, perhaps we would have seen an alternate sculpt released, which would be cool. But I would like to see them sort of in a combat stance like they would have been when they were combating the White Council. I think that would lend itself well to the game and make things a little more dramatic and a little more thematic, really. I'm a big fan of action poses, and given what they can do these days with the sculpting and the abilities that they have and demonstrate, I think they can make a really stunning model. So, but cheers, thanks for the new toys, boys. Certainly do appreciate it. For as OHA news goes, there will be an upcoming announcement from the OHA with regards to some changes, which is going to be cool. Really looking forward to that. I know George is sort of in hobby lockdown with all the terrain work that he's doing, but I think that there is going to be a little bit of content coming out of his workshop as well. And look for more consistent and ongoing content from the Forge here. Obviously, for those of you who are following the Facebook group, I have a poll up right now for whether or not I should be building a Shire or a Moria board. It looks like Moria is going to come out on top, which I can safely say is not what I figured. I was really looking forward to doing a Shire board, but that'll have to wait because those of you who have voted, I'm going to respect your choice, and we're going to put out a Moria board. But just to be honest with the poll, I think I screwed up. I submitted a poll thinking that people were going to add selections to it, and maybe I picked the wrong one, I'm not sure. So when it asked me for two options, I just threw in the two things that came to mind first, which happened to be the Shire and Moria. So didn't have any intention of those two, being... The Shire was sort of underlying for me, but I figured that somebody, would have chimed in and added something else, whether it was a Mordor theme board or Harad or something, Didn't realize it was just those two and you guys were just going to vote. But either way, it worked. I liked it. Nice to see the interaction and, the number of people. I think we're up close to 100 votes, which is fantastic. So I'm going to go ahead and get a plan put together for building the Moria board and see. But what I'll do is I'll table it out to you guys here now on P&P. What do you want to see in a Moria board? Do you want to see the, the classic sort of scene with the Great Bridge? Obviously, that's going to make playability a little difficult, but there's ways around that. But what part of Moria do you want to see? There's so many different options there. So give me your vote. Let me know in the comments below. Tell me what part of Moria you want. We did also post up on the Facebook group regarding Scouring the West Farthing, which has the fellows at Kegs, who host KegsCon, have been gracious enough to invite us back. So that event in September will be a go. That'll be at the end of September, the last weekend of September. and it is likely going to be a single day tournament. This will be a proper tournament for the OHA, but Friday night will be open gaming. I believe we're leaning towards running some sort of battle companies thing on the Friday night for those of you who wish to come down and stay the night. Last year I think was a terrific success. We had lots of guys from the OSBGL attend, drove down, went splits on a room or two I believe, and everybody seemed to have a pretty good time. So definitely looking forward to that. We had the Friday night event in a small sort of private setting. This year we will actually be in the hall. We have the hall for the Friday night as well, so it'll be a proper full-size setup with bar service and all that fun stuff. So if you're in the area, for those of you watching over the pond or in the States, I know we've got a couple Americans I think signed up already, which is absolutely fantastic. And you know, we'll see who else is able to poke their head around this time. So that's it for PNP this week. That's it. That's all I got. That's all I'm really going to touch on. Look for PNP to become a more regular occurrence. Given the break now being over, I'm excited to get back into it, excited to be behind the camera and talking to you guys and sort of touching on everything going on. So look for another episode soon. You know, there's lots to cover. There's lots of things going on in the OSBGL. There's lots of things going on in the hobby itself, battle companies, the releases we're seeing, some product reviews that need doing. You know, so definitely look for some more content from the OHA in the very near future. And as always, thank you so very much for tuning in. Your support has been amazing. I think we're up over 200 subscribers on YouTube, which is terrific. The Instagram is absolutely ridiculous. I think we're upwards of 430 people, which is amazing. And then of course everybody from Facebook, 500 plus people or something. It's overwhelming sometimes to think that you know, that many people seem to warrant giving us the time that they do to enjoy our content. So it certainly means a lot to us. But you guys have a great hobby weekend, and this is Jason from PNP signing off. Cheers, boys. Have a good one.